25 and just miserable and just not being able to do too much. I mean, watching people go and try. I just was in a position where just wasn't, life was just bad. Like, it just felt bad. And choice was going to be everything.
From a depressed bricklayer to a multiple six-figure earner in network marketing, our guest today is Ben Kelly. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nash Mackey. My mission through this guest interviews is to help you connect with high-level thinkers and high achievers who can help you live life on that next level. So in this interview, Ben and I discussed about what you can start doing to develop the self-belief that you need to achieve and create a life you love. Ben also talks about overcoming past difficulty and how coming from a place of service has been so beneficial to him and so allowed him to have the kind of success that he's had. Ben also talks about some of the benefits of aligning yourself with an incredible network marketing company, and he touches on some of the misconceptions that people have around network marketing. I am so excited to get into this interview, so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Kelly. So, to begin, like we were on a call a few days ago, Ben, and your story just obviously resonated with me so much, having been a carpenter and worked in the construction industry. You used to be a bricklayer, and now you're an incredibly successful network marketer. And I would just love for you to share some of your story of where you were, and if you could share with us some of the changes that you had to make from being at that level, working in the construction industry, to where you are now. I'd love for you to share that story with our audience.
Oh, I had to make a lot of changes. Had to make an extreme amount of changes. Obviously, going from being in the construction industry, where you're not really having to deal with too many people, or the same people each week. You're not really needing a lot of tact, not needing a lot of interpersonal kind of skills, to going into something where it's all social, it's all relationship based stuff. Mm-hmm. And having been someone that typically wasn't someone that liked being around a lot of people at the time, when I was bricklaying, I was in a very bad mindset, bad headspace, in a depressed state for a couple of years there. So going into something that is hugely positive was very hard for someone that was very negative. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of resistance initially, beginning, having to be around a lot of positivity. Mm-hmm. And everything was obviously very new, a lot of new ways of looking at things, a lot of new perspectives, a lot of doors opened as far as, possibilities. So it definitely took a lot of taking a lot of what I learned in the construction industry, which served me really, really well. I mean, a lot of my strong traits and strong characteristics have been formed through the construction industry, which have really served me quite well going into this. But there was definitely a lot that I needed to learn. I think the great thing, and I think the really healthy thing about me in the beginning is that I had fair expectations around just exactly how much I needed to know, how much I needed to learn, what sort of time frame that was going to take, and what sort of commitment. And that was something that I was happy to do. So I was very in the know of just how little I actually knew, and knew what was going to be a requirement as far as learning it. It took me three and a half years to learn how to be a bricklayer. Mm-hmm. To do something that I didn't really enjoy, just to kind of get by and survive. So I kind of figured, well, I can give 5 years to something on the side, learning it, for it to open up a whole world of possibilities and give me newfound hope. I've done this before with something I don't enjoy. I could easily do the same thing with something that is much more, I feel much more purposeful in being involved in. And so I just really invested into learning it about what I needed to learn, and being very curious about what I didn't even know were things I needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really been what has continued my growth, and was a big factor, was just falling in love with the fact that there was so much I didn't know, and I wasn't aware that were things that would need to be known, let alone just being aware of the fact that there's stuff that you don't know, and then there's not knowing stuff you don't know. And then once you find that stuff, it's really, you become very hopeful of the fact that you're going to be able to mold and change. And look, if I was going to be able to hold a certain lifestyle and hold a certain success in a certain industry, it was going to require me to have to envision who could hold that sort of lifestyle, who could hold that sort of success. And it wasn't the bricklayer that I was at the beginning. And I had to set a lot of tasks for myself to be able to go and almost identity-based goals to be able to help me move towards being someone that could hold it. You can't change your life with the same mind that created it. I love that quote from Wayne Dwyer, and that's something
absolutely
I live by. And I was very comfortable being wrong about a lot of things. A lot of beliefs that I had become so certain and entrenched were the truth, I had to be able to relinquish. And growth was fairly rapid through that sort of methodology around the not knowing, the being okay with being wrong, and the deciding of who could hold it, and then working towards becoming that more than actually going and achieving the goals itself.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of work to be done. I had to become more personable, had to become a better leader. I had to be better within conflict resolution, being able to deal with different personality types, being able to get out of my comfort zone a lot, and very often all those very typical things that are very congruent to any sort of success, no matter what industry that you work in.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so what drove you? Because like, this change is incredible. What was driving you? You said you were depressed. You said you were down and out. What was that force that was moving you? Because, was it desperation? Was it inspiration? What was that fuel that was behind you there?
Yeah, I think, it was probably a blend of both. I think seeing other people no different than myself kind of obtain a certain lifestyle. I think that was that sort of initially kind of led me to feel like the position I was in could change. But I definitely feel like I was more driven from a place of not being desperate, but the desperation was more of the place that I functioned from. I was at rock bottom.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anywhere else. I couldn't go. I didn't feel like I could go any further south. I probably could have, but in your own head, you feel like you probably can't, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And that was one of the most beneficial things that happened to me. And very fortunate I dug myself out, and some people have unfortunately not been able to. And I hope that people don't need to wait to get to those certain circumstances before they want to create progress. But yeah, I was very, I was just like, well, you're not going to, it was just a lot of very rational sort of understandings as well. A little bit of mix of emotional sort of things that I wanted to hit, but very rational sort of understanding and goals along the way.
Yeah, wow.
Wanting to help mum out. She raised 4 kids as a single mum. That we were not going to be able to help her because I could barely get by. And my sister, who had done the whole uni thing for 6 years, very, very smart, had her own business, was also not going to be able to help out as much as she would like as well. So finding an avenue to be able to go and earn more than what we were required for just ourselves, for us to get by, was imperative. It was needed, and finding that platform had us be able to go, okay, well, let's look at what we could do a lot bigger than what we thought we were possible in the environment that we were in at the time. Wow. Doing that, I wanted to be able to travel. I had no freedom, had no choice. But at the end of the day, I just wanted along the way a little bits of more choice. I didn't feel like I had any choice in how my life was playing out. A very victimized sort of position. But I just saw it as an outlet just to be able to give myself just a choice. Yeah. Really. And that is, you know, and the income and, you know, and that stuff, that just represented choice. We never set out to become rich or extremely wealthy. We just wanted to be able to earn more than what was required for us to be able to have choice and be able to help other people along the way. And obviously, as a young man, wanting to be able to experience what this world has.
Wow.
So they were the driving points. To be able to have fun, I wasn't having any fun.
That's a big one.
I was 25 and just miserable and just not being able to do too much. I mean, watching people go and try. I just was in a position where life was just bad. Like, it just felt bad. And choice was going to be everything, even if it meant like an extra $300 a week. That meant that if I missed, I didn't have to work a weekend.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
that was huge. And I think, you know, it's very easy to downplay that in the industry. And that was just a lot of the excitement at the beginning, and then just the goalposts just kept moving. The more those sorts of things, those that are more abundant started to flow our way. Things became a little bit larger, and I just moved the goalpost a little bit each time.
Yeah, that's so powerful. That's incredible, mate. And so, let's talk about building your self-worth, because when you started out, did you have the confidence like you have now? Because you speak on stages around the world in front of thousands of people at a time. You know, that's incredible.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing. And you know, you've achieved so much. Yeah, it was fun. So you're enjoying it. But so did you start out with that sort of level of confidence, or how did you develop that? What was the process there? And what can people do to develop that confidence?
Very simple. Just become someone that says that does what they say they're going to do. That was it. No matter how big or small, it was just, the more you can just set a task for yourself where it's just more about the fact that you can do it.
Yeah.
Has been, and still continues to be my viewpoint to creating self-belief and self-worth, is just becoming someone that does what they say they were going to do. And again, when I spoke just before about creating goals around my identity, it was just a lot of questions around, can this guy that holds everything, can he do this?
That's so
and it wasn't even like, can he get this? Can he get this result? It was just like, can he simply do this thing? And when I first got started, I looked at people on stage or whatever, and they were speaking, and I was like, I don't know how they are doing this right now. I didn't understand how a human being could have that level of ability to go and speak in front of a whole bunch of people like that. And they obviously knew things that I didn't know were helping them be up there. Eventually I learned a lot of things that allowed them to be up there over time. I had a lot of stories coming through, like I don't need to be seen, I don't even need to be heard. I'm comfortable going but my mentor kind of gave me a kick in the ass and said, look, you've learned a lot. You've been able to turn your life around 180. You've got a lot of knowledge that has been able to help you achieve that, and you don't want to go and share it. You're not. Yeah. And that's when I kind of realized that I was kind of not wanting to do it because I thought it was an egotistical thing. But I realized it was actually more egotistical with the fact that I just wanted to defend this identity of being someone that was humble and didn't need to be seen and be heard. And that's what I was making it about. When I realized that it was actually more ego to not go and disperse that information out. It served me really, really well. I said yes to an event that I said no to doing. I backflipped after we had that conversation. I messaged him and said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And it was tough. I'd never put a slide deck together. I mean, if anyone out there is like, oh my God, slides, you watch these people with these epic slides. I mean, my slides are so basic, but I mean, I learned how to do it. And then that was a thing. It was like, oh my God, I've just learned something that seemed so like hard for me to do a few weeks ago. I've just done it. And it was just built up from a lot of those things. And you start to become very aware of the fact that how many things have you once thought that you couldn't do that now you can do? And then it's just like you understand that you can have that continuation. You don't feel like there's much that you couldn't do if you continue to just set the intention. And again, it was less about sort of how good can you be? How many people can like it? It was just like, look, Ben, the guy that can hold the life that you want, he can go and speak in front of a whole bunch of people.
Wow.
And it had nothing to do with he can be really good or he can do this or do that. It was just he simply could do. That's just something he simply could do.
Wow.
And then it just built on that. You know, Ben can also be up there, but be extremely free flowing and almost seemingly carefree. And that was just like eventually it was just, and it was the same as speaking. Ben can go today. The Ben that holds the success you want, he can simply go and reach out to a whole bunch of people and want to be able to have them give him an opportunity to earn their business. Mm-hmm. And it was just, it wasn't like, oh, I need 10 people to say yes to me today. It was just, he can go and do that. Yeah. And obviously there would be results but they were less of a requirement for me to feel like I was progressing, and I made the results less sort of important than the actual doing of it. I kind of feel like we're more of what we do than we are of our results. And I think if we can fall in love with that, you enjoy the journey a lot more, and you're not going to have this requirement of things needing to come to fruition for you to have a sense of sort of fulfillment or happiness. And I think it was just being purposeful is always so much more important than achieving what you deem to be your purpose or your life's work coming to fruition. I think being purposeful is always a much more happier place to be in, and instead of waiting for your purpose to be come to fruition. Otherwise, you just have these blips of joy. And so I just fell in love with just sort of choosing and envisioning the kind of person that could hold everything on, and then just taking actions that I felt like he could. And all those things have now led me to be, you know, who you witnessed today, but I take the same tack now. Mm-hmm. So it's like this guy that's talking right now, his identity dies tomorrow. Wow. Like I honestly feel like if you can continue to change and you make that such a forefront, you can only be judged once in your life because you're never the same person every day. Yes. Someone can judge me today and someone can judge me tomorrow, but if I'm a different person each day and if I'm getting better and I'm growing, you can only judge me once.
Yeah, it's
my whole life, all
the
days. But if you stay the same, you can get judged every single day. It's like, that's awesome. You can judge me today. You can't judge me tomorrow as long as I keep going, because this guy sitting in his chair right now, he goes. He served me up until this point, but I have to be able to, I have to identify with someone that can hold what my life I want it to look like. Yeah. And it's those sort of intentions and goals that seemingly start to create this flow and ease of things, you know, showing up for you. Wow. Because that's just who can hold it. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like you go to you don't walk up into the gym and go that you look at the heaviest weight and they go, I love to be able to lift that, and then get annoyed at the fact that you couldn't lift it the first day. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's like, and the person, if you want your success and you want this sort of life, you can't expect it to be with someone, you know, who it is you are right now. It needs to be a more fully expressed version. Eventually you can hold that, but it has to be someone that is capable of holding it. Yes. Right. You don't get someone that's walked the gym day one holding the same amount as someone that has been in the gym for the last 3-4 years. just doesn't work. But this is the thing: you might be able to have a day where you're just running on adrenaline and be able to lift something, but you're not going to be able to hold it for a long time.
Can't maintain.
And
powerful, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. And so, I'd love to touch on, as far as network marketing goes now, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you see around network marketing? Because I'm involved with the company you're involved with, and I'm getting a taste of this for myself, and it's an incredible industry. But what are some of those biggest misconceptions that you see or you've seen over your years in network marketing?
There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, always the number one thing is like, oh, it's a pyramid scheme.
Okay.
Like if I hear someone saying that, I 100% know that there's someone I shouldn't take their opinion on just about anything, because they're not objective. Like,
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I find it hard because this is the way that most of the world functions these days. And this is the biggest problem I feel, is that people go and form an emotional decision. They go to work to go to decide, can I believe this, or how do I go to work to make to not?
Mm-hmm.
And this comes with everyone's opinions with just about everything in life, whether it be marriage equality, religion, all this sort of stuff. Everyone goes to work to go and validate their initial emotional response opinion, rather than going, okay, I'm being very objective. I can't form an opinion until I get as much information and as much clarity from perceived experts in a number of in a number of areas for me to be able to go and make opinion. But people make opinions of a very little these days, of a very little. Someone at the pub says something and it goes in. And it's like, well, that's just, I'm going to decide that that's it. And then we go to work to validate that. And this is the thing about a lot of documentaries that I think are really shitty, is they show one side and they go so hard to show one side of the coin, but they did no work to go and even question themselves or question their opinion to see if it could possibly be wrong.
Yep.
And I think if people lack that ability, like they're going to have it's going to be very hard. And this is, again, like being wrong can be like an amazing thing if people are willing and being okay with being wrong. Some people just want their opinion to be right more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I totally get why people have skepticism around the industry. Don't get me wrong. Like I get it. Like there's a lot of people that and companies that go about things in a way which I don't agree with. I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Yep.
But if we were let's say we've got the AFL. There's some great teams in the AFL, and there's some poor teams. But you don't go and say the AFL is terrible because there's a couple of poor teams down the bottom. That are drop the standard a little bit. Right. And then there's teams that are really high standard, and that's the same for every industry that you're going to get. You get people doing things right. You get companies doing things right, and you get the polar opposite. So do I feel like people's initial responses and skepticism is not unwarranted? No, absolutely. Absolutely. But if you have that and you're unwilling to go and question it and actually go and search information and relevant information from relevant sources, then, I have a hard time with that sort of uneducated, self-righteous opinion that is being built off of very little other than emotion. And that should be tough for everyone. That should really be. And again, like I look at a lot of things in the industry, and again, that I don't agree, and I try to rectify them through my own example. It's a phenomenal industry, but obviously you do get people that kind of treat it like amateur hour. And that's congrusive to most industries.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
I mean, totally get it. I mean, I've come up with I've spoken to people with every sort of skepticism. I was very skeptical. Again, I'm a very rational thinker. So I had a lot of questions for me to be able to come to a decision. Did I want it to be not a possibility in the beginning? Did I want it to? Yeah, maybe a little bit, because it's much easier to go, well, this is not a possibility.
Yeah.
And it lets you get off scotch-free, because it's like,
so
well,
true.
no, things can't change. You can stay in your ways and go, well, things can't change. Well, I'm not going to do that because that's that. And it just lets you be in this victimized state. And I'm not even just talking about network marketing. I'm talking about any online business or any industry or any business that people want to go into. Is like they always just go to work to figure out why it won't work, and why it doesn't work, and instead of going to find a hell of a lot of reasons and learning to be able to go and why it will work for them. And again, like every other industry, people get the. I mean, I love the best thing about our industry is that that you get paid off your effort. And it's very relative to your effort, which is fantastic. People earn more depending on how much effort they put in. And you get a lot of the, well, only this percent earn this amount of percentage. But again, other than people don't understand that when they take numbers like that, they take it off the whole company. And when you've got a company that's 83% pure customers that have no intention on making any money, they're just happy with the product and the results that they're getting, they still take they take the 83% that have no intention, and that gets factored into it. So you see a lot of that sort of questioning, that they feel like there's a low percentage of people that can actually succeed. But again, where is that not the same for any industry?
So true.
Tell me an industry that's not that the people that are doing the best is otherwise. Why would you get you can't gain a certain lifestyle that can just happen for everybody. It's just in any industry. So again, then people kind of having that argument with this. I mean, they have to have that argument with literally everything. So what do you want people to do? You want people to go after nothing? You want people to just not even throw their hands up and go, well, I'm not even going to bother trying. Imagine if everyone said that to people in college basketball. How many of them actually make it in the NBA, but no one ever stops them from going and chasing after it? Small percentage make it to the NBA compared to how many are in college. And they spend years and years and years going after that, going after the dream. Should they just go, well, you know what, the percentage is perceived to be low, the chance that I'm going to get there, so I'm not even going to bother. And that's what people think that they're trying to protect people from the network marketing industry. But it's like, what, you want people to throw their hands up and quit life and not go after something? The people that do the best get rewarded because they put the most amount of effort in. LeBron James is LeBron James because he works hard, he gives time, he puts in commitment, he's coachable, and again, he's probably willing to be wrong and look at where he can improve, be very objective, and put the work in. And look, there's so many skepticisms I had and things that showed up for me, but I just looked at why they were potentially coming up for me. What was a little bit deeper as to why I didn't want this to be something that could work.
Right?
That's
so powerful.
And once I got over that, and as I said before, anyone that's watching this that has skepticism on network marketing, trust me, you're not stupid for initially thinking
I was there myself.
Right? But don't be someone that goes and has that, but then doesn't question yourself. That tone is not going to get anyone far in anything.
No, totally.
In any aspect of their life, right? So I just hope that people take that tone with everything, and don't just go, well, this is absolute truth, and don't go and actually find the information that could actually improve their life or enhance their the belief they already have. You can't lose out by being inquisitive and curious and questioning yourself and questioning what sort of place you're being skeptical from, and what it actually means.
Totally.
So a lot of skeptical. I mean,
yeah, it goes on, doesn't
see
it?
these lifestyles. I mean, I obviously have a little bit like people kind of. Some people are very hypey around it, glitz and glam, and this, and a lot of sales tactics that maybe I don't take the tone in. I like to set very fair expectations. I feel like probably one of the things that probably people do in the industry that does cause a lot of dislike is setting of unfair expectations and a lot of hype tactics and a lot of marketing that's a little bit takes people astray. I feel like I've done really well from having a straight-laced, straight arrow approach to what it is we do. Yeah. And I feel like people have been able to trust me as far as how straight up and how clear of an expectation I set for people in alignment with whatever their goals are, whether it be their health, whether it be business, whether it be finance, whether it be their relationship, whether it be with their own self-growth, always the same tact.
Powerful, mate. So powerful. So for anyone who's considering network marketing as a vehicle, you would just suggest to them, do their research and probably find a company that's in line with what's most important to them too, because clearly, you're a healthy bloke. Health's in line with what your values. So is a big part of it as well for you? Like you definitely suggest that to people, to find something that's very much so in line with it, or just because they see certain people getting certain results in the company, should they go after that?
Yeah, I think most people don't do as well as I like, because they kind of align with something that they wouldn't be passionate about if there was no money involved. Okay. Like my sister got involved in this because we didn't even know it was network marketing.
Wow.
We didn't even know network marketing was a thing. We just started because we were both very in how I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I think us both getting great results from our product was the catalyst. I mean, you have to believe in what it is you're doing.
Totally.
Right? And a lot of people on Instagram and again, people don't have to take issue with, is the fact that they get these sponsorships for products and take money and want their followers to take it on when they don't even like it or they don't even use it, but they're happy to do that. No one criticizes that. But then, you find people that fall in love with something that has helped them and they're sharing information, right? We're doing that every single day, whether or not we like it or not. We loved, and my sister was doing it not knowing she was getting paid. She was referring on to people not knowing she was getting paid into her account.
There you go.
So I think we were very fortunate in the fact that we came across something that we believed wholeheartedly into. We would have our family use every day for their whole life. So it is, as you said, it's the most important thing when anyone's looking at a network marketing company is to, there's a few things. Obviously, is it visual? Is it emotional? A product? Is it something you would use even if there was no compensation plan involved, which I would 100% do. And it allows me to stay in the game because it's just something that I love. I see a lot of people and a lot of young guys that have never used skincare in the whole. I mean, I probably shouldn't use such a specific
example.
Yeah. A lot of young guys never use skincare in their life, go to a skincare company because they look at a compensation plan and think it's really great. But then, it's hard to be passionate and genuinely be enthusiastic about something like that. I mean, some of them might do, but I mean, I think that always brings into question, your intentions as to why do you actually believe wholeheartedly, or would you be wanting people to use something that you, before knowing there was money involved, would even use? And I think that's the big problem. People look at compensation and money and what they get for it more than, hey, how can this impact my own life personally first, and whether or not I can fall in love with this to make me sharing this fun and easy because I just love it and I believe wholeheartedly. And that's the people that have the most success are the ones that believe wholeheartedly and love their product.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I started off on. I started off as I just loved the product, and eventually got to a point where I just could not share it with someone because it worked so well for so many people around me that I felt like that it felt good that I had something that I knew could work for people and I could get behind. And then, that was probably the first and foremost thing. So my success and a lot of people's success in the industry comes from the fact that they love their product. They love their service. And it gets results and it provides solutions.
Totally.
And if it does, you can't stop people from talking about it.
100%.
It's just handy that there's kickbacks in.
Yeah. Bonus. Yep. No, I love it, mate. So powerful. So Ben, we're going to wind up very shortly, mate, but I'd just love to find out how much of what you've achieved has been based off goals you've set versus just doing what inspires you in the moment, if you know what I mean. Like, how much do you sit down and strategically plan out your years to come, your months, your weeks, or how much do you kind of move from a place of just inspiration because it feels right in the moment? And how important is goal setting to you?
Oh, I mean, content wise, I mean, a lot of what I do is content creation. It has to be inspired. I can't just go, okay, you got to create something. You got to create a post, or you've got to do it that day. I mean, industry that's important, but with certain things as far as business is concerned, with what we do, but from a creative content sort of perspective, very, very much off the cuff inspiration. A lot of the other posts for a lot of people, if you're watching this, it's good to have a planner of how you're going to share, on your social media, and express, everything that is an occurrence of the company that you're involved in. Events are obviously a big thing, so that takes a bit of planning and into working towards events. It definitely pays off. We were very intentional. I do feel like you've got to be fairly intentional. Obviously setting the goal just allows you to understand the work that's going to allow you to progress yourself. And it's going to give you the tracks of who you're molding into, and allows you to have to find the actions that are required to do what that person can do to hold it, as I said before.
Totally.
So being able to get tangible numbers in time frames and everything like that really then can dictate your intention and the work ethic and the work rate. And that's super important. I for many years had to do a lot of the organizing and stuff myself. I've been fortunate enough to be able to bring on a friend who's a PA who's a good friend of mine, to be able to help with a lot of stuff. She can help with a lot of that, let me spend more time in my creativeness.
Brilliant.
But you definitely have to, organization is one of my weak points. That's why that's why I get help with it.
Yeah, good.
For sure. I mean, know my weaknesses, so I get help with that. But for sure, you definitely need to set tangible, whether it not be health. I mean, that's why I'm doing a 16-week body chart. It just allowed me to understand what is required for me over the next, I'm only a couple of weeks left of it, but over the 16 weeks. And once it's done, it's allowed me to mold into who can hold a greater body in the future.
Yeah, totally.
So, definitely be very intentional with your goal. But again, I mean, I don't want people to be too attached to those outcomes. Finding a lot of joy in the fact that you've been able to be so organized that you can work out what is required for you to simply do. Right. And then you'll get better at getting results if you're loving what you're doing. But obviously it does require an intention to let you know the direction of how that's going to be caused. And without that, it's very hard. You're kind of floating around and kind of hoping and wishy-washy and everything like that. So organization is a big thing, big weak point for me, but super important. And structure is a great thing. It allows with less overwhelm.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to have their Sunday afternoon, having a look at their week ahead, getting it all out of their head, and then basically, you know, having alerts on their alarms and their phones, and being able to then just not have to think as much because they've done most of it on the Sunday. And it's just then about just doing it, about doing it. And then you can feel good. You can feel good by the end of the week, and then you go again. So creatively, content-wise, I think it's a spur of the moment. I think people can really tell whether or not it's like a forced thing. Content-wise, that it is expressing what you're involved in your opportunity and your company and what comes of it. Obviously, being able to have times when you do those things is great. And then obviously other stuff out there. I mean, I think getting organized in those aspects does allow you a little bit more ability to have the energy to be in a creative mindset, which is super important, especially in an industry that, you know, the more creative you get sometimes is not great, because following systems and structures is the most important. Being able to simplify that and get really good at that is most important, rather than necessarily creating a new stuff.
I see. Yeah.
But for me as a person, I mean, I need to be, you know, stimulated through creation, I guess you could say. Yeah.
It's the bricklayer coming back out. He wants to keep building, mate.
Just piecing myself together. And like I said before, the guy that's on this call right now, I mean, he's served me well to now, but he has to go. And I have to. And again, you know what the funny thing is, and I mention a lot, is it's kind of a little bit contradictory a little bit when people with low self-belief don't want to go and do things that are contradictory to their identity. It's like, because typically if you don't even like who you are, why are you trying to protect that so much? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't.
Wow.
You should be someone that's most likely to go, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is completely different to who I think I am. And that means that you're not protecting and not keeping who you are safe. And if you don't like that person, why keep them safe? Go and do the stuff. Go and do the stuff that you think scary or you don't think you're worthy of, because that's completely different to who you don't even like. People who are in love with each other, in love with themselves, probably should have more reason to try to defend themselves or trying to protect their identity and then actually do less. But people with low self-belief, why are you defending that? If you're not doing stuff, I've got low self-belief. Go and fucking do it. Why are you protecting that?
Totally.
You know, and that's just how I felt. I'm like, well, I don't even like myself. Why am I going to protect this dude from not going out and getting a whole bunch of no's? Right. I would actually love myself a little bit more at the fact that simply because I could do it. I'd have more self-respect for myself because it was a contradiction to the person I didn't even like.
So true. That's a powerful way of looking at that. Actually, I like that. It's like they're getting a secondary gain there. That's why then they're kind of addicted to the story or that identity more so than the actual idea of succeeding. So, but they're bringing everyone else down, complaining about it and moaning, but gets you nowhere.
It's ego attachment. I mean, if we're in low self-belief, it's because we don't feel like we're worthy. So then going and doing things that you don't think you're worthy of is freeing.
Totally.
It's freeing. It's like, that's most of what I do is just so I can become a little bit more mentally freer from myself.
Yeah. Love that, mate. Absolutely love it. So Ben, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the call today, mate. And I just really appreciate your time. You've given me a lot more time than I asked for. So really appreciate that. And just really want to, I guess, praise you for what you've achieved and being a young guy that's out there stepping out, making a difference, leading. And just want to, I guess, congratulate you on all you've achieved and just thank you for being someone who's out there making a positive difference in the world. It's inspiring to me and definitely going to be inspiring to others. And I'm excited to share this interview out with other people. So thanks so much for being with us here today. And I've got one final question as we wind up there, brother. And it's simply, moving forward from this point, what's the impact that you want to have? Just a nice, easy one to finish.
I've taken a tone over the years where, and I think it allows me to function with a little bit less weight. Is that I'm not out to change the world. If I can change, I feel like I've not changed anyone's life. I feel like everyone's fully empowered to make the decisions. They may have attracted information through me. That's all them. Kudos to them for inviting that information. It just so happened that it came through me. It would have found its way somehow if you're inviting it. But I feel like if I can just really learn about myself, move myself, and progress my own life, I think that people can use that example, and whatever I learn from that is going to be able to be passed on, and people are going to be able to be extremely empowered to do the same for themselves. So that's the ripple. I don't kind of hold any sort of God identity of thinking that I'm changing a lot of lives. But I do definitely, I think I want my family, I definitely want my family to remember me a certain way. I want my close friends to remember me in a certain way. And that's all from who I was as a person. And again, so much of what I do is based around, identity work. And I just, that's important to me. And I just hope that I've kind of, I've caused a little bit more ease being here than I've caused harm.
That's powerful. That's good. That's a worthy ambition.
And that's all. That's all I feel like I can really do. Again, I don't want to put too much weight on my shoulders, because then it makes it harder to actually do the work. So that's why I take that tone. And hopefully someone's got something out of this. And I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you thinking of me for having me on. And I'm excited to do more work with you over the years, mate.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure, Ben. Thanks so much for your time, brother. I appreciate it. All the best, mate.
Thanks, Nash.
And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did creating it for you. I had an absolute blast connecting with Ben Kelly. You can check out all Ben's social pages, there's links below. Hey, if you've enjoyed this interview and if you've got value from it, do me a huge favor, like this video, share it out with your friends, share the inspiration, help me out here and share the inspiration with people you care about too. And leave a comment below, let me know what you thought. And if you haven't already, head to iamnashmackey.com, subscribe, you'll get a great free little product sent to you immediately. And you'll also be the first to get notified when I upload new videos and new content and new great guest interviews. So thank you for your time, thank you for your energy, much love, and I'll talk to you soon.